brute-iful.com. I'm Andrew Medina. This is the man, Ellay Khule, aka Rifleman,
yes.
Rodian,
yes.
Good Lifer.
Yes, all that stuff.
All that stuff. Alright, what does, first of all, it's like a two-part question. To you specifically, what does the good life mean? And for people that don't know, what is it?
Me personally, I think the good life means, it's like a means that the people from the urban area could come to one spot centered around music, and people from abroad could come and get with that, and you were all on one vibe, and that was like a good vibe that night, no matter if you was, you know, into some gangster stuff or whatever people was doing. That night we was all on a musical good night, and that was every Thursday for years and years and years. What was the second question?
What it meant to you, like what it was for you. You know?
It was like a, man, that was my life, homie. The good life was my life, and all of us, you know, I say that personally, but every Thursday, that was the epitome of your week. You would center your whole life around that little Thursday, that couple of hours. I swear to God, you would center, you would be like, oh, no, I can't do this because the good life is here, and I had to practice this on this day, so I can't get to that. It was a lot of, that was the best thing you was gonna do all week, period. I don't give a fuck what you was doing. So, you know, for musicians, it was the epitome for us. But we didn't realize all that at the moment, though. That's the funny thing.
I've done my research. I know a little bit about it, and I know there's a lot of you guys were exploited in a way, right? Like guys like Ice Cube would come down.
Oh yeah.
Jack Styles.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you get into that a little bit? You know,
man, the good life was so monumental that people would come with their, you know, their personal tape recorders hidden in their pockets. Record companies would send people down there to like see what type of music was going on, see what styles was going on. I mean, it was so many artists down there. From, I saw Too Short down there, not to say Too Short ever stole anything from Bill, like we all know how he rap. I'm just saying I saw Too Short down there, Biz Markie, MC Search, the list goes on, Grave Diggers, Fat Joe. I mean, it was a popular place. People knew if you was a serious rapper, you had to come through the good life and see if people was gonna dig you or not. You know, I remember Hieroglyphics came down there one night, freestyle. You know, when their album first came out, Souls of Mischief. This is a lot of people would come down there. You had to come down there to get your respect in a way, because it was like the LA underground Apollo, if you would. Like, we would tell you if you was good, whack, you know, we'd let you know straight off the top.
In a lot of the footage, you're like one of the most vocal dudes. You're very like, you were talking about how, you know, if someone was rapping to let you know there was some, you know, some shit about Fat Joe getting booed off stage. Talk about like that trial by fire, like if you were whack, and it kind of progressed you guys, right? As you know, as artists.
It helped me. A lot of things that people don't know is about the good life, is that shit happened to mostly all of us. You know, we wasn't always, you know, the best rappers in the world, and you know, everybody wasn't always respecting everything we did. So it was one night that I got pleased past the mic. That's a story that people don't know. And it wasn't because I was whack, it was I didn't know the exact rules at the moment. And then like after everybody performed, you got a session at the end called please pass the mic. So, but you only could rap a certain amount of time. You can't do your whole 16 to 24 because it's like 15 other dudes behind you trying to get they spit on in a quick amount of time. So I tried to do my whole joint, and this was like the first year of Good Life. You know, I tried to do my whole. It was early, everybody didn't know everybody, and then it was like please, please, and I was like damn. I was like I didn't even know. So I learned that night. You know, like certain moments. Like if I wanted to do my whole verse, that was the time to do it. It was, I should have signed a list, did a song or something. See, I learned that night. Like, you know, it was trial by error and trial by fire. You know, it was a hard thing. But some people, they broke from that. You know, like you could boo somebody and you will never see them again.
Yeah.
But you know who gonna sustain when you see somebody get booed and then they come back next week and then they try to rap again, and then or they might just sit in the audience for like a month or two, study, soak all that shit up, you know, and then be like, I'm ready to go again. You know, I seen a lot of people, and it wasn't just everybody that was like on a high caliber of lyrics. There used to be a band there called Iceberg, black rock band, and it wasn't that good. But just because they was at the Good Life and we felt the vibe with them, we cheered them on. We was screaming like they was like Metallica or some shit. For real, you know, and that pumped them up. But that was just like some little energy that we had to like break the monotony of the situation. It wasn't all about MCs all the time, you know. People would just get up there and do all type of shit, singing, and sometimes they'd try to do comedy, dancers, but it just more centered around, you know, MCs and producers. But that's where it kind of culminated. We was all different individuals before we all came together, you know, from different parts of the city before that, and some of us knew of others and some of us didn't.
Now, one of the main, anytime you hear Bloody and Project Low, Good Life, you're going to hear style. Style is imperative, it's important to anything you do, but especially LA Underground style.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own style. You specifically developed this style. Can you talk about how did you create that style? What did you see to make you say, wow, I want to rap like this, or whatever, you know, because your style is very, very unique, and I know, you know.
It was, I just think my style comes from the Good Life, and it was, you know, like I can't say it was born at the Good Life, but it was bred and it grew up at the Good Life, because I've been rapping 4 or 5 years before I ever came to the Good Life. The Good Life started in '89, I went in '90. I've been rapping since '86, loosely. You know, as a young kid, you hear raps and then you just start trying to pick up on that. So I was doing that, and I would say 11 years old. And then from there, but at the same time, like, people gotta know my family, all musicians. So it wasn't like I just popped up and just start, you know, doing some super or some good stuff. It wasn't like that. My whole family, my mom's a singer, uncles, bass players, dad, jazz, everybody. So, you know, I had a little background in music prior to ever coming to the Good Life. And prior to me ever rapping, I was exposed, you know, to my family doing shows, and they always had equipment around, so that was been my whole life. Always. So, and that way, I think that generated my style and who I was, and also the neighborhood that I come from a very tough neighborhood in the hundreds, you know, so that helped my mind shape in a lot of different ways that, you know, some people come from better areas, so they speak specifically in certain ways, but me, I'm a little more edgy, I'm a little more hardcore.
Yeah, you have a really, like, almost like a vicious style. Like your rapping is really intense.
That's my purpose of, because that's my energy. Like, say if I'm just chilling, then I'm cool. It's kind of like it's a split personality. You know, with the rifleman, Ellay Khule. Ellay Khule's a more creative, you know, he's trying to push the limits of